You check your phone, put it down, check it again within 2 minutes. You're not addicted. You're perfectly trained. And the algorithm teaching you wasn't designed by Silicon Valley. Welcome to the modern sages. Ancient wisdom, modern application. Today, the 2,400-year-old training system that's secretly running your brain, what happens when it goes wrong, and your 2-minute practice to take back control. Athens, 380 BC. A young man named Glaucon sits across from Socrates, frustrated. Master, I know what's right, but I keep doing what's wrong. I want to study philosophy, but I find myself at the taverns. I plan to wake early, but I sleep until noon. Sound familiar? Socrates leans forward. Tell me, Glaucon, when you practice sword fighting, what happens to your reflexes? They get faster, more automatic. And when you stop practicing, they deteriorate. Exactly. Now, what have you been practicing with your mind? This conversation, recorded in Plato's Republic, reveals something profound. Your brain doesn't distinguish between the skill you're trying to build and the skill you're actually building. Every action is a repetition. Every repetition is training, and you're always training something. The Stoics called this the discipline of action, the recognition that we become what we repeatedly do, whether we intend to or not. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." But here's what most people miss. Your way of thinking isn't fixed. It's the accumulated result of 10,000 micro-choices. Every scroll is a rep in distraction. Every notification you answer is practice in reactivity. Every time you switch tasks, you're strengthening your brain's switching circuitry. Meet Annette, 18 years old, living with a divorced mother, estranged father battling addiction, hours daily on her phone, editing selfies, scrolling social media, watching movies. She tells researchers, "Without my phone, I will be abandoned by my friends." But here's the cruel irony. The very tool she uses to avoid abandonment is teaching her brain to abandon the present moment. Her relationships become shallow. She breaks up with boyfriends repeatedly, unconsciously recreating her father's pattern of abandonment. The Beck Depression Questionnaire shows mild depression. She's trapped in what psychologists now recognize as a training loop, using digital stimulation to escape emotional pain, which creates more emotional pain, which requires more stimulation. By 2025, university researchers document the full cost of this training. Over 50% of smartphone-addicted students report anhedonia, the clinical inability to feel pleasure. They struggle to start tasks. They feel hopeless about the future. A quarter view life as meaningless. These aren't just statistics. They're the predictable result of training your brain's reward system to expect constant stimulation. When you teach your dopamine receptors to fire for likes, comments, and notifications, ordinary pleasures, conversation, reading, even accomplishing goals, start feeling flat. The pattern intensifies for teenage girls. Between 2010 and 2020, the smartphone decade, severe depression rates among teen girls surge 58%. The mechanism is devastatingly simple. Instagram trains them to measure their worth against curated perfection. Every scroll is a repetition of, "I'm not enough." Every like becomes validation they can't generate internally. They're not choosing to feel inadequate. They're practicing feeling inadequate. 6 to 9 hours a week of comparison training, reinforced by immediate feedback loops. The ancient Greeks would have recognized this immediately as ascesis, spiritual training, just pointed in the wrong direction. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. When researchers study older adults, people who use smartphones without the compulsive patterns, they find something remarkable. These users show better cognitive function than non-users. No negative effects on sleep, depression, or anxiety. Same device, opposite outcome. The difference isn't the technology, it's the training. The older adults use their phones as tools. To call family, check directions, look up information. They're practicing intentional use. The addicted users are practicing reactive use. Same repetitions, different patterns, completely different brains being built. This brings us to the most important discovery. A randomized controlled trial takes heavy smartphone users and converts their devices to dumb phones, calling and texting only. Within weeks, their attention spans increase, their well-being improves, their sleep quality rises. But they still have phones. They can still communicate, still connect with people. What changed wasn't the device. It was the elimination of the infinite scroll, the notification training, the reactive loops. The problem was never smartphones. The problem was continuous connectivity training your brain for distraction. The ancient Stoics understood something modern neuroscience is just rediscovering. Attention is a muscle that gets stronger with the right training and weaker with the wrong training. What we call focus problems are actually focus training problems. And here's what's fascinating. Cal Newport discovered the exact same principle 2,400 years later. In Deep Work, he documents how the most successful people in every field share one trait. They've trained their brains for sustained, single-tasking focus. They treat attention like an athlete treats physical conditioning. Newport's research shows that it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully refocus after a distraction. Most people never experience true focus because they interrupt themselves every few minutes. They're not practicing focus, they're practicing distraction recovery. This isn't willpower failure, it's training success in the wrong skill. The Buddhist concept of monkey mind, the restless, scattered mental state, wasn't describing a modern problem. It was describing the default human condition when attention goes untrained. What we're experiencing isn't unprecedented, it's just amplified. This isn't just ancient philosophy, it's backed by modern neuroscience. Brain scans show that focused attention literally changes your prefrontal cortex, the region that governs impulse control and decision-making. Every time you resist a distraction, you're strengthening your brain's capacity for resistance. Every time you return your attention to your chosen task, you're building your brain's focusing circuitry. Now for the 2-minute practice. Right now, I want you to do something radical. Choose one thing you've been avoiding. Maybe it's answering a difficult email, starting a project, or having a conversation you've been putting off. Set a 2-minute timer. Put your phone in another room, not face down, not on silent, in another room. Sit down and work on that one thing for exactly 2 minutes. When your mind wants to escape, to check something, to do something easier, just notice the urge and return to your task. You're not trying to finish the task. You're training your brain to stay present with difficulty. You're practicing the opposite of what Annette was practicing. Instead of escaping uncomfortable feelings, you're learning to stay with them. Instead of training reactivity, you're training intentionality. 2 minutes. That's one repetition in the skill of focus. Do this daily, and in 30 days, you'll have a different brain. Here's the principle in one line. You don't have an attention problem. You have an attention training problem. And here's what to try. 2 minutes of focused practice on something you've been avoiding, with your phone in another room. Now I'm curious. What's been training your attention without you realizing it? Endless scrolling or constant task switching? Drop your answer like this. My training. One focus change I'll try. If you want more ancient wisdom with modern application, subscribe. We post daily.